We've been congressionally mandated to verify the exit process, and this is a test to determine in this pedestrian environment, can we do that with this technology?
Digital technology offers the promise of intimacy, amusement, and even a longer life. With the ability to do billions of calculations in our pockets, it seems we've discovered a new dimension in which everything in our lives can be improved and tracked, and then turned into money. But is convenience, profit, and surveillance the only use for these new powers?
We're a multimodal biometrics identification company. We've got the world's only patent on a handheld multimodal, which means fingerprint, iris, and facial device on smartphones or on tablets. It's installed in State Department of Corrections, sheriff's offices, and local police in 47 states. It's big.
For me, this is a form of governance by data. You might be a perfectly normal individual whose facial expression, for example, might indicate that you have some dangerous or suspicious thoughts.
Within 5 years or so, we're looking at a future where police forces would be able to identify who you are and where you are in the city and link it to a social networking page and to all of your friends.
Imagine technology that truly understands you and can adjust the ambience to your mood at that moment. Technology that lets you live your life without having to think about it, and just add something extra to the little things in life. Or the big ones. Enjoy the freedom. Revolutionary smart living.
Biometric tattoos are raising the bar in wearable technology, and here to fill us in on the who, what, where, when, and why is our very own Lionel of Lionel Media. Hello, sir. Can you tell us what direction is this going with the biometrics and the tattoos? These things aren't easy to take off. What's your opinion on them?
Eventually what's happening is that we are being led bit by bit through, to use the Skinnerian term, from shaping through the successive approximation to ultimately having within our bodies an RFID chip that will be implanted, that people will stand in line and in queues for to have, so that ultimately we will have in our bodies, because what we're doing right now, Lindsay, is we're slowly moving towards that. We went from the desktop to the laptop to the phone to the watch, and now we're having little tattoos, little biometrics, all of them leading to the ultimate goal, and that is an RFID, a radio frequency identification or similar chip, to be placed subcutaneously. And that chip, Lindsay, will have everything about you there is. Your bank account, your GPS location, and you will do it. You will get one. Because after all, it will also have the siren call of medical information. And then one day, God forbid, not you, one day when people are found guilty of, let's say, crimes, they're not going to be put into the Hoosgow, in the pokey. No, their chip is going to be turned off and poof, they don't exist anymore. That's where all of this is going. Everything that's happening right now, think about this, it's not going to be because of the government forcing this on you. People will say, please, put this on, put this tat on, this UPC. I want to be a part of it. I want to be hip. I don't know what privacy is. Please, subcutaneous, all the better, because I want to be cool. And I don't care about privacy, because after all, Lindsay, I've got nothing to hide.
Well, Also, there's also a case to be made for people who are going to live the analog lifestyle. You know, record players, or tape decks, analog lifestyle. You're disconnected. There's nothing electronic in your life. Would you ever try that in a bid to maintain your privacy?
You know what? Provided I'm not the only one, yes. Because let me tell you something right now. By the way, and keep in mind this, remember in Hollywood, all of those hacks and all of those terrible things? Do you know that fax machines in Hollywood have gone through the roof because they're going back? We're going to go back to the key. We're going to go back to actual old-fashioned, hoary, antediluvian analog things that aren't able to be hacked. Because remember, Lindsay, if I've got this little device on you, I can hack into that.
Exactly.
And eventually...
Keep going.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, the thing I like is that, you know, a pen and a pad, you can't hack this. So that's what I walk around with because, you know, I don't want anyone finding out my private thoughts. You know what I mean?
But you know, let me tell you something. And what happens is parents are one day going to chip their kids because there aren't going to be any more Amber Alerts. You're going to chip your parents, especially those who suffer from dementia, and like OnStar. And eventually, it's all going to be you. You're going to have think about it, Lindsay. No more wallets. You want to pay for your bill? Go like that. Because there's the chip. Just go like that. We'll do these little hand waves. This will be everything. And then, as I said, the moment you transgress and that chip is turned off, you don't exist anymore. People won't be able to see you on their GPS devices, even though you're looking right at them. They're saying, I'm sorry, Lindsay, this isn't registering. Because without this, without my ability to pick up the metrics, the biometrics, the electronic metrics of you, you don't exist.
Well, for a lot of people out there, including myself, who's a relative hermit to today's younger generation, that kind of be okay if someone thought I didn't exist for a couple of days. Just get some privacy. Thank you so much for your input on this, legal and media analyst and friend of the show, Lionel of Lionel Media.
Thank you.
But using the slogan, they got through the USA Patriot Act, which removes many of our liberties. Nobody made a sound when we lost habeas corpus, due process of law. And suddenly Bush managed to get rid of it. Where was a voice on television, aside from mine, that spoke out against this? Where are all those noble jurists, those great lawyers, those lovers of liberty? Where the hell were they? They were nowhere. Now we have a totalitarian government. And the totalitarian government wants to watch everybody, total surveillance of everyone. They listen to the telephone conversations. They look at your credit cards. They look where you travel. We are totally policed. This is contrary to everything in our Constitution.
A 2010 Pentagon directive details what critics say is a policy that envisions the Obama administration's potential use of military force against Americans. The directive has non-controversial provisions on support to civilian fire, emergency services, and domestic use of the Army Corps of Engineers. But the Washington Times reports that the troubling aspect of the directive is that it outlines the presidential authority for the use of military arms and forces, including drones, in operations of domestic unrest.
I believe it would be constitutional for the government to target and kill any U.S. citizen with a drone or with a shotgun without due process. Nor should any president deploy armed drones over U.S. soil.
Okay, well, a troubling new report is now revealing that a secret memo from 2010 outlined the administration's potential use of military force against Americans in the United States of America.
A defense source brought this to my attention and was fairly concerned about it, said, look, this appears to be the latest step in the administration's decision to, at some point, use force against American citizens in the future. There are a lot of people concerned about this, and then you see this memo in connection with the growing militarization of many of the non-security agencies of government.
In Connecticut, tens of thousands of residents have failed to comply with a new law that requires gun owners to register all military-style rifles with the state. in response to the Sandy Hook school shooting that resulted in 26 fatalities. Connecticut passed one of the strongest gun control measures in the nation. It's estimated that only 15% of gun owners have applied for assault weapons certificates, meaning the remainder could very soon become Class D felons.
I think they're going to have a hard time putting this back in compliance, especially when precedence is already set here in Capitol Hill with our president, who is changing the laws, which he's breaking the federal laws every day with what the stance that he's taking on different legislations, primarily his health care plan. So people look at that and say, well, why should we abide by these laws if the president is breaking these laws?
Days after a mass shooting and stabbing spree by a California college student, a number of state lawmakers are pushing to make it more difficult for potential killers to get their hands on a gun. In California, state lawmakers are now considering a bill called Assembly Bill 1014. It would create a first-in-the-nation gun violence restraining order system, similar to the way domestic violence restraining orders are issued. If granted, police could then temporarily seize any firearms the person already owned and add their name to a list of people prohibited from purchasing weapons.
Tanks, guns, armor, all tried and tested on the battlefield. Now some of it is here in central Indiana on our streets, being used to keep us safe. It's surplus military hardware that's found a new home.
Fox 59's Russ McQuaid tonight shows us how some of our local police departments are now armed for war.
Surplus U.S. military hardware is coming home from the wars, being assigned to the streets and back roads of central Indiana to keep Hoosiers safe at a time of escalating homeland violence.
Once it patrolled Afghanistan. Now it's an armored SWAT vehicle with windshields that can take a direct hit from a .50 caliber weapon, a gun turret up top, and the armor to protect at least a half dozen cops inside.
When I first started, we really didn't have the violence that we see today. The weaponry is totally different now than it was in the beginning of my career. Plus, you have a lot of people that are coming out of the military that have the ability and the knowledge to build IEDs and to defeat law enforcement technique.
This is Congressman Hank Johnson. Georgia Congressman Hank Johnson is worried about Pentagon spending and small-town cops who have acquired helicopter parts and boats and bayonets and guns they don't need or can't keep track of, and he's ready to write clampdown legislation.
We've been reporting about this all along. Police are arming themselves to fight against your average American citizen, conservatives, patriots, and definitely returning military. Why aren't people seeing this? Well, perhaps because their local news stations are massaging it into their brain that this is completely normal.
According to the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court, police officers no longer need warrants to search a person's vehicle. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled 4-2 that police officers can search a vehicle without a warrant. Critics say the ruling gives too much power to police and will infringe on citizens' privacy.
Are you ready for the next big thing? It may be moving in with you. The Financial Times reports that next week, Apple will announce a new way to connect you to what techies call the Internet of Things.
One of the concepts people have been talking about is Apple getting into what they call kind of the smart home or the Internet of Things. That's an area a lot of big companies like Google are very interested in, so you know Apple's got to be interested in it also.
If we have this sort of home invasion, if you will, by all these devices, do you think this is something consumers want or are going to embrace?
You know, it's something we thought about since the World's Fair, since the Jetsons. It's an intriguing concept. I'm not sure how much of it people actually want to integrate into their lives.
You think this is the next frontier of technology, Dan?
It's one of the potential next frontiers, and whether somebody, maybe a big guy like Apple, can get everything to work together, that's always the key, getting everybody on the same plan at the same time.
I would be fascinated if someone doesn't want this technology, because I think it's amazing. It's life-changing.
Yeah, certainly.
The National Security Agency is collecting a massive trove of images that it intercepts over social media, emails, and texts, some which are so clear it can use them in its facial recognition operations. According to the New York Times, top-secret NSA documents indicate that the spy agency's global facial recognition technology has seen huge growth in the last 4 years. Millions of images are intercepted per day, only adding to the huge database of personal information the government can have on individuals, both American and foreign. Civil liberties advocates worry the program seems to be operating in a legal vacuum.
Controversial new curriculum in New York schools still making waves in the education community. Last night, parents, teachers, and students came out to voice their concerns about Common Core.
If attendance is any indication of how concerned parents and students are about Common Core standard, then the packed room at Carmel Town Hall said it all.
If you look at the way that this has been implemented, it's a complete disaster.
Common Core Standard is a new curriculum implemented in schools across the nation. The goal of Common Core is to put students on a level playing field and help prepare them for a global economy. However, many teachers and students say it creates a factory-like environment that stifles individual learning and puts pressure on educators to only teach to the test.
And we're creating unneeded anxiety and really using our kids as guinea pigs in a failed experiment. We really need to put the brakes on Common Core.
It was the testimony from the kids that had the biggest impact.
I love to be creative and express myself, and they're not letting us do this. It's kind of just the same thing over and over again.
Well, New York received $700 million from the federal government in exchange for accepting Common Core. 45 states, including New York, have implemented the curriculum in their schools.
And now to Florida, where a school teacher allegedly humiliated a 12-year-old boy in front of an entire class after she caught him reading the Bible during what was designated as free reading time.
I begin with that shocking lawsuit. A Connecticut family claiming their 3 daughters were brainwashed into joining a religious cult by teachers and, of course, that guidance counselor at the high school.
On the outside, it's a typical suburban school. But on the inside, a new lawsuit claims 4 staff members at Avon High School in Connecticut tried to brainwash 3 sisters, and their parents had no idea, indoctrinating them, quote, into a religious cult that promotes martyrdom and celebrates death, leaving them flat and distant, reclusive, secretive, and non-communicative. Adding, they began speaking in a bizarre new language and cut off all of their communications with the family.
This case strikes at the heart of the First Amendment.
It's absurd. Why don't you have me arrested? Why don't we do that as a civics lesson? Nice First Amendment lesson, right? It's absurd, but everybody's playing around about what the content of this is. Nobody's talking about censoring the book. Nobody's talking about banning the book or burning the book or anything.
Would you please be respectful of the other people?
Like you're respectful of my daughter, right, and my children. That you had that you put this book out with the notice. Why don't we read the notice that was put out?
Why we ask? Would anyone else like to speak?
Because I violated 2-minute rule.
Would anyone else like to be recognized? Is somebody in the back?
This is ridiculous.
Your name is Gail Brunt.
I'm sorry.
Gail Brunt. Can you state your address? Whitehurst.
The world is changing with accelerating speed. This presents opportunity, but also new dangers. It will be your generation's task to respond to this new world.
Where we face new challenges. This is the world you are graduating into. To lead in shaping a new world order.
I felt like
a transformation is coming.
the world will see who I am. I follow you into the darkness. Numbers are growing. We await the greatness that beckons.
There is gold at the end of this journey.
How do you drown out the noise?
There is no end.
Only new beginnings.
My first guest is a platinum-selling, 6-time Grammy-nominated, all-round, really, really great artist. We're so glad to have W.O.W in the building.
Everybody's addicted to something.
Everybody got a grip on something, even if it's just to feel the response of appeal. Maybe once, maybe twice, maybe hundreds of times. I'm out of my mind, out of my I'm plane, airplane, sorry I'm late. I'm on my way, so don't close that gate. If I don't make that, then I switch my flight, and I'll be right back at it by the end of the night.
That airplane in the night sky like shooting stars. I can really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now.
You've put out some very strange tweets of late.
I don't really want to say too much, but I will say do your own research.
You sound like a conspiracy theorist.
I'm not really a conspiracy theorist. It's no more conspiracy. I know. And so it's really up to each person to do their own research and come to your own truths, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like we as people listen too much to what somebody tells us, and we don't actually go background check and really say, you know what, that really don't add up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you really look at a lot of different things and you start to think, and so what I like to do is I like to provoke thought, you know, and provoking thought is the least you could do. You can't make somebody believe something. You really got to just provoke thought.
Okay.
You gotta pay. Right here.
What?
Put your hand on the scanner.
What's it gonna do to my hand?
It's a biometric scanner. It takes the money straight out of your account.
Really?
Yes.
You know what? Thank you so much for your help. We're actually just gonna go. Okay.
Well.
Oh my God, that person looks just like you.
Oh my God, he does look like me. That's me.
That's so weird.
Right, he's got my face. Same face. We're not from around here.
It says you live 5 blocks away.
Right.
You're not in the system. Everybody's in the system.
Whoa, come on.
Hey, buddy, just take your time, all right?
Thanks for staying with us. We may never need our credit cards to buy groceries or gas. Some are calling it the wave of the future. It's a new cafe cash register inside the Peak Sports Club on Perryville, allowing us to use our palms for payment. Whitney?
Yeah, Mike, when I first asked the owner about the device, I thought he was kidding when he said I could buy a bottle of water with my hand. My reaction is one that a lot of customers have, as many Peak Gym members are leaving their credit cards at home.
You don't need your phone, you don't need your keys, you don't need a scan card, all you need is your hand.
All right, just hit OK. Do you need a receipt?
No, I don't. Thank you.
It's called biotechnology. The device scans the movement in our hands by setting them here. So essentially, we're paying with our own identification.
It's kind of crazy. Definitely outside the box. But it's convenient.
Where did this idea come from? The company's creator out of New York says the device could change the future of retail.
I think biometrics is the way forward. I think biometrics is something that's still growing as a technology. But at the end of the day, I really don't see physical, like currency and credit cards being the future. I think it'll be something else.
Again, I want to remind you, I was not a prophecy studier or expert at this time when this vision came to me. I began to walk the streets in shock at the current events. The events are difficult to describe because lawlessness and fear was permeating society completely. After about 2 weeks of time, television and radio began to be back up and running. However, it was completely different than what was previously being broadcast. The broadcasts were being bombarded nearly everywhere, and they were depicting a soon-to-come new government and leadership. A man would be emerging to lead us. The man finally came on the scene. Almost immediately, he began to communicate through large-screen televisions that were strategically placed everywhere the general populace met. Now, what was strange about this is that this man's speeches and directions for the whole world had to do with new times upon us as human beings, new directives for global peace, and the need to give up current citizenship for world citizenship. This man continually and constantly spoke of world order and the benefits of all men dwelling together in peace.
I haven't had what you call much of a formal education, but you can find most anything if you look hard enough.
Skateboarder, the coolest balloonist in town is Kool-Aid Man. He's appearing in his 6th Thanksgiving Day parade, which is very cool.
And he's actually got some pretty cool numbers to contemplate as well. He has 4 fingers, 3 ice cubes, and check it out, 6s for eyes and a nose.
Now listen to this, please, very carefully. At staggering rates, people were buying right into this plan that this man was releasing through the airwaves. At staggering rates. No resistance. No one was fighting it. No one was saying anything publicly. I will never forget this individual's face. His face was almost supernatural in appearance. He was almost too perfect. He was, for a lack of terms, he was the most handsome man I had ever seen. I was telling Stan that he had kind of a chiseled look to his face, and everything about his appearance was almost perfect. And when he spoke, there was just a very strange quality about him. The New Order was said to have all the answers to problems and the leadership necessary to bring the change, causing the world to finally become the envisioned globe of peace. This is what we heard over and over. Folks, this was 1980 when I had this dream.
Well, you know, when things were tough, you know, I realized that this too shall pass, you know, that this was just a temporary situation. I realized that, you know, as long as I made the right choice, you know, and followed my faith more than what people were saying or what the newspapers or the tabloids were saying, and didn't get sucked into that, none of that stuff was real. The only thing that is really real is the stuff that's going to last forever. You know, your faith and your belief in God, and knowing that, you know, once you're a Christian, you've accepted Christ as your Savior. You know, you're not going to perish, but you're going to have everlasting life. That belief in itself and that faith is what's pretty much the only thing that's real to me, you know. Everything else is kind of like a life situation, but that's my life after life after life.
You know, it's when you get your guys back, you prepare just as you prepared before. There's only one guy ever in the world that everything will be all right when he comes back, and that's Jesus Christ. Other than that, you can't bank on nobody being okay.
And that's what all religions are about anyway. Be a good person.
Yeah, the thing I don't like about it.
You don't think all religions have the thing of be a good person?
Not Christianity,
no,
but by grace through faith.
Yeah.
What?
By grace through faith you've been saved. So it's nothing that we can do.
No, we're good. I'm a good girl. I don't know what they're worried about.
But Joy, then what? But what is the standard of goodness?
Be good to your neighbor. Don't cheat on your husband. Don't steal.
But in the Bible,
don't
but
murder.
Here's the thing.
Don't murder anybody. Very simple. I write very simple also.
But in the Bible, God's standard is the 10 Commandments.
I'm good on that too.
You've never told a lie before, ever?
What, is that one of the commandments?
It's a commandment.
Never mind.
So maybe the 9 commandments. That's my point. God's standard of goodness is different. Well, God says if you've disobeyed but one commandment, it says if you've disobeyed all of them. So if God's standard is different by which he judges the world, then that's where the argument of only being a good person
then leads to the gospel.
I think people are curious how a guy, you've sold how many records?
28 million.
And made millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
How do you end up in here?
I think everyone who's watching knows how I ended up in here.
I don't know if they do.
I'm pretty sure they do. Anytime you get it, I'm pretty sure they do. You know, there's how do I end up in here?
Never let anyone, something another woman friend of mine, Joy, told me, never let anyone take you off your square. And if it feels uncomfortable, then you are probably not in the right place. You know, just don't sell your soul. You know, and men and women do this. You know, I would say even to young boys. I've seen young boys get turned out in this industry too.
You know what I'm saying? BET, they had a nigga about to perform up there, whatever. But under the circumstances of me performing, I couldn't fuck with that shit, you know what I'm saying? Because they was trying to get a nigga to do some off-brand corner shit. We bang, gang. I'm just not about to sell my soul for no red carpet, no publicity stuff. Yeah, you feel me? Let's do some real nigga shit right now. I gotta fuck with Supper Club, because at the end of the day, when I wake up, I know they all fuck with me and I fuck with y'all.
Kendall Jenner gets vampy. Kendall keeps it goth in the Twilight-inspired shoot.
And there's also parts in the album where you speak to Lucy, Lucifer, the devil. So you
it's trippy.
You see both sides of.
Yeah, man. It's when I go inside, I may do an after party. I see it all around, man. I may do an after party, and this is how I'll be able to write these records, because it's not just the positive energy that speaks to me; it's the negative too. It's the evils too, and we all have temptations.
Right.
You know. Me, I'm just fortunate enough to translate them temptations through record.
Right.
You know, I always said this is truly a gift for me. Putting these records out is a gift for me, because I'm not only a voice for myself, but I'm a voice for people who can't express themselves like that.
Right.
And Lucy is one of my favorite records because it's me actually coming to realization of the evils rather than acting like it's not going around. My faults are not happening. My faults are happening right in front of my face. I gotta present them.
That reminded me, in a way, and not to compare it to anything, because I do think this is an original, maybe one of the most original works we've seen in a long time, but it reminded me a little bit of Snoop.
Yeah.
And Murder Was the Case, where he had that conversation with the devil, with Lucifer, and that temptation was in his face. And of course, seems like
Lucifer Morningstar, is that a stage name?
God-given, I'm afraid.
Why don't you tell me something? How does she end up dying in a hailstorm of bullets and you get away without a scratch?
The benefits of immortality. What will your corrupt little organization do about this?
We're done here.
Someone out there needs to be punished.
Stop caring. You're the devil.
America's most watched network unveiled its fall primetime lineup last night, including 7 shows making their debut. Among them, the highly anticipated comedy Angel from Hell.
We're never supposed to intervene in a human's life.
Oh, is that some sort of angel rule?
As a matter of fact, it is, yes. We're supposed to help from afar. Be subtle about things, you know, like implant an inspirational thought or nudge you towards a conditioner that would give your hair that perfect bounce.
The Pantene?
You're welcome.
2 stars from the upcoming series on the Sci-Fi Network, Childhood's End. Sounds interesting just from the title alone, but it's a unique series, guys. Is it kind of like a mini-series?
Yeah, absolutely it is, yes. But nice. I think I like the format of it. It's you know, 3 nights in a row. I play, as you say, a character called Karelin, who is an overlord. And the overlords come to Earth at a time when there is economic crises, wars, disease. The world's in a very bad way. Arthur C. Clarke wrote that in 1954. Here we are in 2015. We have economic crises. We have people with not enough food to eat. We have an increasingly serious war going on in the Middle East. So, you know, anyway, what happens is that these superior beings come to Earth to supervise the running of the planet. And we eradicate disease, economic crises, wars, and create a utopia that lasts for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
But utopia comes at a price.
Of course.
Just being in such an infrastructure like BET, and I still work in the film and television industry, and I have actors that we see on TV every day that are my friends, and I'm in their homes, and I know that they ain't got no money. I've been over rappers' cribs that will go on MTV cribs talking crazy, and I've been in their house like, word, you living a little bit better than me, because it's all based off perception. Even going back to what the brother talked about with the homosexuality with the rappers, here's the kicker. It's not that the rappers are gay. That's not it. That's a misconception. What it is, it's about control. See, that's what makes it, that's why you see so many buffoons nowadays in television and film, doing things that we know are like, wow, Jamie Foxx, you would say that? Wow, Jay-Z, you would actually sit there and do an anti-Semitic commercial? Because they're in a bind, because see, Jay-Z's not gay. I'll use him as an example. He's not gay, but once you reach a certain level within that weapon of mass destruction, you have to give something up. There's something that you're going to give up because you got to be down with that crew. And how do I know? Because it happened to me. That is why I'm standing here talking right now. I reached a certain level in that station. I was the only producer to ever come as a new kid and create a multi-million-dollar revenue generating show. So it's not even reality television. But they understand that majority of us, whether we like it or not, are lazy as hell. On a spiritual level. We think because we work 3 jobs that, nah, I'm not lazy. But spiritually, psychologically, the masses are lazy. But the majority of us, and I know it's going to be kind of harsh, but the majority of us will never fulfill our dreams. So we'll never be in a position to say what we would or would not do. You understand what I'm saying? We'll never be in that position. Because before I got there, I would say the same thing until I got there. You understand? So I literally lived the devil taking me to the mountain and saying, you can go to the left, you have all of this. And I was there. It was ritualistically done. The vice president sent his right-hand man to me 3 straight weekends. They do everything in 3s. But now it's time for them to introduce me to the inner workings of this monster that's created. And that's why nowadays we see people caught up on secret societies, but it ain't no secret if everybody's talking about it. As a television producer who was Dave Chappelle's stand-in, which means I did his rehearsals season 1 and 2 of Chappelle's show, I saw what happened to Dave. Dave used to give me advice all the time. And one of the key things he told me was, no matter how much money they offer you, and he said they, as he pointed to my chest, he said, never forget who you are or where you come from. And he walked away from me. And I didn't get it at the time until the nigga left. Then I said, oh. And him and Charlie Murphy would tell me the same things all the time. And then I got it. This is a war. And these cats are sorcerers. And we need to take, and I know the words magic and sorcery takes people to make you think that I'm talking about the Eastwick Chronicles or Harry Potter, but this is real because it's affecting our babies. So when they see all these signs visually that say whatever has happened in in urban America, as far as the perception on television and film, I was basically the fly on the wall. That's why this brother is so correct. There you go, was so correct when he says we are at war. And I know it's somewhat difficult to believe that a war can be anything other than physical, but it is.
He asking me, you know what I'm saying, if I was going to sell my soul, telling me what I needed to do to take my career to the next level in dark.
And I came to the realization that this world is nothing like we thought it was. And I also came to realize that the world is not controlled and run by the people and the institutions that we're told it is. The truth is very, very different. In actual fact, there are various organizations and groups working through secret society networks that over a vast period of time have come to control and manipulate pretty much every aspect of daily human life. And that absolutely includes the entertainment industry. So in all these cases, we have the control system that is running the show when it comes to the music industry, placing their little calling cards and their little clues in plain sight. They're letting you know who owns these artists, because their artists are owned lock, stock and barrel. And there's a phrase that you often hear, which is they've sold their souls for fame and fortune. And I would suggest that rather than that being a myth or a convenient kind of quip or phrase, there is a lot of truth to that statement.
I didn't know, you know what I'm saying, I never really heard the gospel in its purest, you know what I'm saying, in purity and in truth, you know what I'm saying. I ain't know that Jesus Christ was the only way.
Hello everyone, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video that I just put together. I just wanted to give you guys some insights of, you know, the spiritual stuff that I've been seeing, the stuff that I've been viewing basically, and I just wanted to share with you guys just basically what's been happening just last year and up until this year now. You have to excuse me, I have a cold, so I'm just really trying to fight this cold right now, just trying to feel better. But at the same time, even with a cold or without a cold, Satan can never keep me from putting out the truth and to lead people from out of damnation into salvation. Now, for a lot of people who've been following me through my Dreams and Visions videos, you have to remember I did a segment where I mentioned that the Lord revealed to me some hours, basically. I went to a movie theater and he was showing me, so I can't remember the numbers right now, but it all added up. It was a dream he showed to me back in October, and he revealed to me that there's something big is going to happen within the next 10 months, basically. He showed me this in a dream back in October, and the hours that added up to about 10 months, which is going to be in October of this year, 2016. Now, biblically speaking, we're not really in the year of 2016, but we're just going to go by this year that they give us. But I just learned that basically that the year 2016 is what the Zionists is giving us, and it's not the exact year that we're actually in, but we're just going to go by what they give us right now, because the new year is actually in spring, and it's not in the winter time on December 31st, January 1st. It really isn't. It's something totally different. But what the Lord was showing me basically is that something big is going to happen this year, and we're going to see the economy is going to be collapsing and stuff. Slowly but surely, they're preparing for this, people. And they're showing this all over the media, all in the movies, and through the music industry as well. And that's why I wanted to put this video together, to show you people that something is going to happen. The mark of the beast is already here, people. And the celebrities and everyone in the elite already have this chip. And pretty soon they're going to be forcing this upon us. And either we accept the chip or we don't. And it's really interesting, people. And all this stuff that's been biblically spoken in the scriptures and the scrolls, that it's all coming together and it's all happening right now. So I just encourage you people, just cover yourself in prayer, fast, and try to get closer to Yahushai and Yahuwah in these last days. Father Yahweh, I pray that whoever watches this video, that they receive your word, Lord, that they have an insight, a visual insight of what's to come, Lord. The events that took place last year and the events that are going to take place this year, Lord, that they see, Lord, for themselves, Lord. And the Father Yahweh and the Son Yahushai Barakatah. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and just stay tuned for more WOW videos, everyone. Keep in touch.